you have an understanding of the systemic crisis and can break it down without dumbing it down about as good as anybody I've ever heard. So I'm going to put it to you. When you say systemic crisis, what do you mean?
Absolutely. So, and this is not just me, this is the work that the Democracy Collaborative does collectively. But we've basically been saying for the 20 years of our existence that if you look at what is actually happening in the US political economy, and this is true of most other places around the world at the time as well, essentially what we're looking at is not local political or economic difficulties that could be solved by limited interventions here or there, but a system-wide crisis of the political economy. And what that means is that under Democrat and Republican alike, in so-called economic good times and bad, the outcomes of the system for most Americans have been getting steadily worse in real terms. And we actually put this together at the Collaborative in something we called the Index of Systemic Trends. The first edition came out in 2019, and we're just about to bring out a second edition 5 years later. But everything we argued in the first index is true still, and even more so. And one of the signs that a crisis is systemic rather than just political or economic is that key indicators decline or stay the same regardless of changes in political power or of business cycles in the economy. And since 1970, the US has experienced, 7 party changes in the White House, 6 party changes in control of the Senate, 4 in the House of Representatives. There have also been economic ups and downs, 7 recessions and recoveries. And yet, as our index shows, on many of the really important economic indicators, social indicators, indicators of democratic health, what we see is that there's little improvement, and in many cases, very substantial deterioration over this long period since the 1970s. And the trends that we're looking at are things like poverty, wealth inequality, racial wealth inequality, income inequality, wage stagnation, the costs of higher education, student loan debt, home ownership and the racial patterns within that, corporate taxation, taxation of the rich, union density, incarceration rates, labor force participation rates, healthcare costs, and of course, climate emissions and things like life expectancy. And so what you see is the slow buildup of a crisis that is not going to be resolved except by definition with system-changing interventions. And that's the starting point for what we call for, which is the buildup of a democratic economy, although I'd say there are many other versions of similar approaches that fly under other flags, including your own of the solidarity economy.